Hello, everybody. This is Abracadabra Sisters, and I am Muriel.
And I am Sharon, and we have with us here a dear friend of mine for a couple of decades. Um, his name is Leo Beloy. I never know how to say it.
Beloyianis.
Beloyianis.
Right.
And you think I would know after 20 years, right? And he is a chiropractor, and he is also a manifester. He knows how to manifest the life that he wants. And that's the reason why I wanted us to talk to him today, because um, he's created a life that many would envy, doing what he wants to do. And I thought if he shares how he came about that with us, it might help us all manifest the kind of lifestyle that we aspire to. Welcome, Leo.
I'm
Welcome.
so happy to be on with you guys. So, would you like to ask me some questions?
Yeah. Well, my first question, and I've had some of these answers before because I know we've chatted about this, but my first question is like, what made you decide that you were going to be, and I'm going to tip my hands a little bit on this, a surfing chiropractor?
I
Well,
love
I
that.
think I think with all of us, and that's a great question. All of us, we have certain things that are introduced to us in life at a very young age, and we're inspired by certain people or inspired by certain events that happen. Sometimes good events, sometimes bad events. And I was very lucky when I was a young boy. My parents were good swimmers, so we used to go to the beach. That was the only time we had as a family to go on, a Saturday and a Sunday to the beach. So I learned to swim and I learned to body surf. And of course, back in the 60s, early 60s, surfing became very, very popular. So I used to buy surfing magazines and always imagined myself surfing. But I never surfed. I was just a body surfer. And as years went by, I decided to go to school in California to become a chiropractor because I was helped by a chiropractor. And I said, ooh, this is something I think I really should do because it helped me so much. So going out to become a chiropractor, I lived in Los Angeles, where people that I knew were surfers, and they got me into surfing. So it was like a back door into that life, into that lifestyle, which I kind of desired, but I didn't know that I'd ever learn to surf only because, of my circumstances of going to school to become a chiropractor. I ended up in a place where people were surfing and I learned to surf. So that's one part of the question. What's the second thing? Was
Well, how, can you give us an idea of how you decided you were going to set up where you are? You have a lovely practice in Long Beach on Long Island, and how did it come about that you ended up with this nice little office in Main, the main on the main
main,
drag?
okay. Well, first of all, living and growing up in Flushing, Queens, which wasn't a bad place, was a place that was nice. We had a park, but it was always a drive to the beach, which was kind of a hassle. And when I went and lived in California, I was about 45 minutes from the beach, and everything by the beach was so darn expensive, even though I was licensed to practice in California. So I got licensed in New York and I was licensed in California and came back to New York to be with my family. In doing so, I found this town called Long Beach, which was kind of really, really cool, but it was very depressed. Housing was not that expensive and places to, practice was available. So I thought to myself, like, wow, I could like live near my folks and my brothers, and I could like have, a life that's close to New York City, but also to a lifestyle like California because I was right by the beach. And I started a very small practice because I didn't have that much money. I just, was a young doctor and I was with my wife that we just got married. And I started a small practice where I got a collection of patients, but I had a location that I had my eye on, that I imagined, that I visualized. I wanted to be on a corner. I wanted a place with big windows. I wanted a place with tall ceilings. And I found this place because I'd been going to Long Beach for, I guess, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years before I finally like opened a practice here. where I would only drive in from the highway into the beach area and never go into town. Well, one day I was at a conference in Queens, which is like the west side of Long Beach, all the way in by that area. And I decided to drive a different way back. And as I'm driving into town, I see the space, which is exactly what I imagined, a corner store in a big building in the middle of center of town that had tall ceilings, and it was for rent. And basically the rest was history, because I thought to myself, this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I imagined. This is what I visualized. And actually I saw the place. But I must say there was a lot of roadblocks. I went to the real estate person, and the real estate person said it was $2,500 a month. I didn't have that money to rent the place. I had no knowledge of like how to build a place, but I just kept visualizing that place and visualizing that place. And as I did, I kept going back and asking the real estate, have you rented it yet? No, we haven't rented it yet. And finally, after I had enough patience where I thought I could rent it, I said I wanted to meet with the owner of the building, and they put me in touch with one guy, and the guy came and he says, yeah, we want $2,500. I says, yeah, but this place looks like crap. I says, yeah, but I would put money into it so I can practice. I have to fix the floors. I got to fix the ceiling. I got to build walls. And he agreed to do it for a price that I can afford, which was $1,000 a month, which is what
Oh,
I was
that's
paying.
great.
Yeah,
That's quite a jump. Wow.
which I was paying, and I agreed to sign a lease for 5 years, and the 5 year lease was 2 years for 1,000, and the next 3 years for 1,200. He says, it's $6,500, whatever. I said, I'll pay it, no problem. I said, but I knew that, as far as I was in there, I was going to put this much work into it. I was going to make it happen. And fortunately, 2 years went by for the $1,000. And at the time, the real estate market took a tumble. So the guy who was renting it to me for $1,000 a month now needed money. And he said to me, I have to sell the place. So if you want to buy it, and he made a stipulation that I would be the first right of refusal to buy it. And I bought it for $104,000, which is great because they were asking $250,000.
Wow.
So the reality of it is the place became available for me because I don't know if you ever read that book, Maslow's book, how people, self-actualize. I don't know if you ever read that book.
No, but it sounds like you certainly did it.
Well, what I think is that as people, as humans, and it doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 20 years old or 40 years old, 50 years old, I think the most important thing is to have an imagination, a vivid imagination. I think the
And
other
a big
thing,
imagination, not a
yeah,
little. Yeah.
yeah. And I think your consciousness has a lot to do with the people that you hang around with. Now, I don't think that I ever would have had the consciousness unless I went to school in California to develop that lifestyle in California. Like, people don't work as hard in California. They seem to cut out of work at 6 o'clock, and it's so nice. The weather's nice, and people are riding bikes. And I says, man, I want that lifestyle. But I realized that you can have that lifestyle anywhere. Maybe it's not going to be the same temperature, but you'll learn to adapt. And I don't know, I felt that as a person that's learning, you have to sacrifice. Like when I decided to go to school for chiropractic, I had the world really. I was a bartender. I was going to school. I had, girlfriend, and everything was great. But it was like, you know what? I have to really like test myself and put my nose to the grindstone. So I worked and went to school. And I worked another job when I went to school. So when I got out of school, I didn't have any debt, but I had no money. but
Yeah.
but I had a profession. And the reason why was because, and I don't know if Sharon told you, but I was helped by chiropractic. If it wasn't for a chiropractor that actually changed my life as a result of an injury that happened when I was 7 years old, I crashed into a tree. This eye was a little small. I used to have the weirdest boils and cysts that used to grow on my face. It was disgusting. And for 10 years, it was antibiotics and dermatological procedures. And I looked like Frankenstein, especially for pretty girls looking at me, and my face is all blown up. And my karate instructor, who I started working out in martial arts, took me to his chiropractor, and he took one look at me and he said, oh, this guy needs chiropractic care, because he could see my one eye droopy, and he was looking at me. And I had no pain in my neck. I had no understanding. And my best friend's father was an orthopedic, and I thought that chiropractors were quacks because his father said that. Not to see that this guy now all of a sudden changed my life with one adjustment. And then I went back for another adjustment, where it like opened my brain, it opened my life. So I figured to myself at a very young age that this was so powerful for me. I wonder if I became a chiropractor, if I can have the same effect on one person, if I could do that for another person. So I think part of me manifesting what I manifested was really all about what I think we all have a special gift. We all have a gift. We don't know what it is, but when I was a kid, people say, oh, you're always so happy-go-lucky. They used to call me Smiley when I was a kid, and I always liked to make people feel good. So I used to sing and I used to play music, and that was great. But at the same time, I didn't know my purpose. And it wasn't until the thing that actually made my life bad by having the stuff in my face gave me an opportunity to learn about chiropractic that opened my mind to the fact, well, that's what I should do. Maybe I should be a chiropractor. So I studied hard to become a chiropractor. Great. It didn't matter. Whatever you want, you can have, but you have to be willing to work hard to get that so you can do what you were meant to do, share it with other people. So
That's
your manifestation really should be not just you. It should be what challenges that you had, what circumstances that you had in your life that was difficult, but you overcame it. You became an overcomer. And become an overcomer is that now you're supposed to be there to kind of help people overcome their circumstances, their situations, to give light to them, to give them a different way of looking at life. And of course, many books, many seminars, many, things that I've influenced always the consciousness has to expand, it has to grow to listen to certain things. Some spiritual stuff, but I can't say it was like all church. I can't say it was all books. It's just by listening to people and their life stories. But we're all put on this earth for a purpose. And it's to find your purpose and fulfill it. So manifesting the gift of having an office or having a lifestyle was part of a bigger plan, much bigger than me. I just happened to fill the role, and I was rewarded with a lifestyle with wonderful patients and a pretty convenient life. I mean, I'm a mile away from where I live, but where it's just been fun. You know what I mean? And even though I'm 71 years old, which some people say, well, shouldn't you be retiring? I'm manifesting a life where I might be able to work less days, but still give back with chiropractic, helping other chiropractors, helping patients. My daughter became a chiropractor. Other daughter became a speech pathologist. So it's all about a service business. But the idea is to do something that you love to do, that it's not so much the money, but it's the life and the lifestyle and the difference you hope you're making. So if that makes any sense about manifesting, I hope that you can understand. Any more
it's
questions?
it's brilliant. I love everything you said, and it's funny because I had a big question for you sort of halfway through, which was how did you come to chiropractic? But you answered it without even having to ask the question. And because you had the passion for surfing, but I was wondering where's the passion for chiropractic? But that's there too. And so we can have very diverse, different passions
That's
and
right.
make them work in our lives. I
Right.
get I get caught in all people tell me I'm like all over the place because I'm writing and art and doing all this different stuff and it all fits together somehow.
Right.
It
That's,
it and I remember when I was in school thinking, oh, all these courses, all these different courses, I can't stand it. I just want to focus on one thing. But then my life never became focusing on one thing. It's always,
that's wonderful.
a
That's
pile
wonderful.
of stuff. So I love your example of thinking, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to do it, and just sticking to that and just going
And
step by step.
can I add something else to this because this is very, very important. I think discipline is a very important part of that because um, when I was younger, again, I had two older brothers, and we always used to, clown around, but we always used to wrestle, fight, and I don't know. It was just one of those things that learning to defend myself was an important part of, again, being able to just be my free self, where I didn't have to think or worry about anything or anybody. So martial arts was a big part of my life and still is. And not because I want to beat up the world, I want to defend people. I want to defend people, from what they are and try to help some of the tools that I learned in martial arts to help them get through their care or their therapy or their physicality. But I think the discipline about, how you sleep, what you eat, what's your nutrition, what's your lifestyle like in terms of like resting the body, resting the mind. I think that people sometimes are so overtaxed that it's hard to maintain focus. I think it's nice to have a dream, but to manifest that dream, I think that you really have to like, make the soil good to make the seed grow. And I think that as humans, we are supposed to be many things. But what makes you relax? Music makes me relax. I was a drummer. I used to practice every day to be, good so I can play in two, three bands. But why? Because it was a passion. I just loved the beat. And it stays with you because now you listen to music and I can relate to it. Same thing with like the martial arts. I can relate to it. I use it for snowboarding. I use it for if it wasn't for martial arts, I couldn't be a chiropractor this long because all those moves, I'm protecting myself. You know what I mean? So you never know how your discipline is going to pay off in the long haul. And I think also having role models of people that you see, you look at them and you go, wow, that dude is awesome. I remember being in California skiing and I was 22 years old and I was on, I'm trying to think of the mountain, very, very big mountain. It wasn't Mammoth, it was Mammoth. And I'm online, and all of a sudden, there's this guy in front of me, and he's 85 years old. And
Oh, wow.
you're 85 years old, and I want to be like you when I grow up. And I was like, this guy's amazing. And again, surfing. I was surfing in Malibu, and there was a guy who used to sit there and read the New York Times, and he was 80, 82 or 83. And he had a long board. He's wearing a wetsuit in the middle of summer. And this guy got all the waves. And I was like, I want to be like that guy. So you have to have role models that you look up to that gives you a different perspective. I think consciousness is a huge part of people's growth. And
Yeah.
that sometimes we limit ourselves on beliefs from people that we loved that told us, your teacher, your preacher, your friends, and they tell you, you're never going to be this. I mean, my own dad, when I said I wanted to be a chiropractor, says, you're gonna be back in 2 months. I was like, fuck you, I'm coming back in 4 years when I got my degree. But the point I'm trying to make is that, you need people who will maybe reverse psychology, make you really try harder, or people that'll keep you down. So your consciousness has to expand. That's why, reading or listening to podcasts like this will give you like a thought like, I never thought of it that way. And I can't get how more important that we all as individuals have a gift. We really do have a gift. And to discover what that is, to know who you are, that one essence of who you are that has been implanted in you, and for you to like grow that gift, share that gift. And it's not about the money. It's about when you share something that you love, it's easy, it's fun. It's what makes life great. So I think everybody has the potential to manifest whatever they want, but they got to be willing to put the work in. They have to have the discipline. They have to keep the vision so clear. Be focused on the things that you know and you love, and don't, in spite of the economy, in spite of, the news, in spite of
The
whatever's going on,
naysayers, the
whatever,
naysayers.
whatever
Yeah.
craziness that's going on, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because people need people, and people need
Yes,
people that
yes.
care.
And Lee, I want to point out something to our viewers here that I go to Leo every Saturday morning, and sometimes a couple times during the week if need be. And he is not only do I get an adjustment, but I get a dose of this, what you're seeing, this encouragement. He's one of the people that inspires me to be my
The best
better
version.
self,
That's it, the best version of
to
yourself.
take better care of myself, to face the world with a more positive attitude. And I want to point out to everybody where Leo is, because I don't know if you noticed before how he blew a kiss to somebody as he was talking. It's like he's in a goldfish bowl. He's got windows all around him. He's on the corner of town, and everybody's walking by, and everybody knows him, and they're all saying hi as they're going by. So he's very visible right now, even though you're just seeing him in the corner of his office.
It's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun. You know what? Life is wonderful, and we need to be the best version of ourselves to make the world wonderful. I think that we all have a responsibility, and it's okay to dream, and it's okay to, like, visualize things that as you want it to be, in spite of
Yeah.
all the stuff, the negative press, or all the things that the detractors, the people taking away from whatever it is. You got to laugh.
Yeah.
You got to have a good sense of humor, and just laugh your way through it, because
But you know that it's sometimes is tough. Like for example, when a parent says you're
of
never
course,
going to do that,
right.
you were able to just let it fall off your back. Sometimes it gets stuck. Like for me, my mother said at one point, "Oh, Muriel, your art is your thing. You're never going to make any money at art." And it was a line that really
It's stuck in
cut
the brain. Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Yes. And
But
and I didn't know how to um de-stick it. I
right.
didn't know what to do. So there have to be we it's all well and good to say, just let it go. There's got to be deeper ways to be able to to undo those dangerous words.
Well, the first thing I want to say is forgiving people for their limitations that they put on us, and it not intentional. It's because they were held back when they were younger. So that's
Hmm.
the first thing. Like, I think about why my father was the way he was and why my mom was the way that they were, and I forgive him for it. But the idea is that I also realized at a very young age, like, these people really shouldn't be parents. Like, I used to say, like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. I mean, stuff that, like, and I realized at a very young age that not that their words weren't hurtful, but I didn't put too much weight on it, because to me, I looked towards my older brother as somebody who was like, come on, man, how much you make it a freaking, as in a paper route? I'm only making $14 a month. He says, come on, think of a better way to make money. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you get 3 paper routes and have somebody deliver the papers for you? Oh, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? So I would always try to expand, my consciousness at how that was. But again, I was very blessed that because of things that I liked, like, motorbikes, motorcycles, cars, I was attracted to people that were attracted to that kept me away from, like, the bad things, or the bad people that had no hopes, no dreams, and all I wanted to do was get high. So I was always working on something. If it wasn't working on cars, I was working on motorcycles. I was buying, selling cars, but it was a learning experience, and it was just another thing. But the point was that when you hang out with people, like, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to become a dentist. Oh, that's kind of cool. What are you going to do? I don't know. And then I found chiropractors. Well, I'm going to be a chiropractor. Like, really? And then, like, they became chiropractors too, other guys. So it's just, you never know how things will work out for other people. But everybody has something good to say, or sometimes not so good to say. But it's what you put your hopes and dreams behind the good stuff. And you have to not disregard, but say, I know where that's coming from. It's coming from fear. It's coming from doubt. I see that that's the way you look at it. But I'm very, very blessed to have patients like you, Sharon, that see the value in, what your body can do, what chiropractic can do for you. But you as a friend, you've always been a great friend and an honest friend. You weren't someone like blowing smoke up my butt. You always like somebody, you said it like it is. And I think it's nice that I have, a connection with many of my patients where people can just be right up front, like whatever. And I don't take offense to it. I appreciate it. I appreciate, the constructive, not criticism, advice. And I look at it for what it's worth and make whatever adjustments in my technique or my personality or my whatever. And that's how the world goes around. Because again, who am I trying to impress? I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just trying to be my authentic self. You have to be who you are, whatever that is, you know. And if you're short, if you're tall, if you're fat, if you're small, if you're loud, if you're, just be your authentic self, but at least have clarity about like what your purpose is, what you can do to make the next door neighbor, maybe the block, maybe the community, maybe you make a difference. Your presence makes a difference. So your manifestation is not just what you have and created in your life, it's how it impacts, a vibration. So what else can I?
Well, I find you very inspiring, and I would love to keep your office hours.
Yes, yes. Well, I think, we all can make the lifestyle or make the choices based on like, where we're at. And I know that you're like in the same boat as me, Sharon. You know what I mean? Pretty soon you might retire, or maybe not. Maybe you create a different lifestyle.
Maybe I'll just do more of this.
But the point is, that's great. Whatever it is that makes you happy, that serves humanity, that serves the public, the people you know, the people you don't know, it's wonderful because, that's what life should be. Many options. You know what I mean? It's life is just like it's like going to a big banquet. You don't have to stay at like, the one table that's just serving shrimp.
Well,
You got
it's
the
funny.
whole,
I see retirement. I mean, someday I'm going to be tired of my day job,
right,
and I already got tired of it and switched to a different
which is great.
function in the same firm.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'll decide I want to retire from that. But I don't really see it as retiring. I see it as moving on to focus more on some of my other passions, whether it be my needlepoint or I might write someday. I have ideas about writing. Muriel's written a book,
That's
and
wonderful.
and I think that's wonderful. And I would love to maybe even learn to paint at some point. So I have all these things in the back of my head that I want to do at the time when I don't have a day job that I have to devote so much time to.
Yeah.
But retiring to what am I going to do? Sit there and doom scroll? Am I going to watch like TV all day long?
No.
That's no,
No,
not for me.
No, it's not.
no.
You have contributions to give to people. You have your daughter. You have who knows what's going to happen in the next few years. You might have a few kids. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. So the idea is just make another chapter of the book, another chapter, and that's kind of how it works. I really appreciated being on this Zoom. Is there any other questions that you guys have, or?
Well, I think that for me, one of the most important tools that I have for staying in my truth and being able to function is gratitude. So I don't know if you have, I mean, you've said a lot of things about that, about, you have to have a good attitude. You have to have, you need to be just focused. So,
Focus.
let's just go over all over those tools again
Well,
before
the
we let you go.
number one tool I think is to be humble. And the reason why
Hmm.
I'm saying that is that sometimes people, it's like driving off from ego, but being humble to say, like, there's more than I need to learn. You know what I mean? And I need to vibrate in the frequency of life or the frequency of, like, who I am, the vibration to see, am I missing something? Am I doing something? And that sometimes is, really going into your own. I don't know if anybody spoke to you about this, but we have our consciousness, which you're dealing with the people on the outside. But what's your conversation inside your head? And like,
That's to me very important. That's why I say
right,
gratitude is so important. And I beat myself up all the time, constantly.
well,
So
what you
that's,
should do is start thanking yourself
yes,
and
yeah,
thanking all the things like walk around. Thank you, God, for this day. Thank you for that tree.
yeah,
Thank you for the bird. Thank you for the food. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. And be in a state of
yeah.
gratitude, which is something that gives you a sense of like now. you feel like, well, I appreciate who I am and what I have. But
Yeah.
I find that the peace that you have, if you are in a peaceful state, especially when somebody is like, let's say, if you're busy working on something, your inspiration, think about it, to be inspired is something that's coming from that consciousness deep within your consciousness of this, something that's trying to tell you something. So most people don't listen to that because that's like your what I call your inborn intelligence that's trying to communicate to you. And
Yeah.
you'll hear from that consciousness the minute you get up.
Yeah.
The minute you wake up, there'll be a thought, and it's not something that you thought of, but it'll be something. And if you could just write that down and act upon it, that is to humble yourself to listen to that voice. That's what I'm saying. That's your inborn intelligence that's telling you something because it's already made the assessments. It's already made the decisions. But sometimes people get confused and lost in all the crap. So that's a very important is to have a connection with the bigness of the fellow within. That's very
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
so that's by being humble. The second thing is having a routine. And a routine should be whether it's a brisk walk in the morning, whether it's a exercise routine like 2 3 days a week where you just dedicate that time to your physical body. Why? Because when you get your physical body in motion, and if it's for a sustained amount of time, you can't think. So that means that you're giving your brain a rest from the conscious bullcrap that's out there. So this way, when you come out of that, you come out with a little bit more clarity. So it's that discipline of physical movement to energize, re-energize not only the physical body with more circulation, more oxygenation, more, burning off certain calories you don't want to burn, creating like some kind of cleansing. You know what I mean? And everybody does like a cleanse. I don't know about you guys, but I like to eat a lot of vegetables. I like to eat fruits. You know what I mean? But I enjoy my pizza and I enjoy my steak. I enjoy my beer. But it's not like I'm eating them every day. But I'll make time for that. You can't like say, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. No, you shouldn't do that. Say, I refuse to like have anything I can't have, but I limit it where it's not going to be something that like that's all I'm drawn to is I got to have that beer. I got to have that drink. I got to have. No, so you have to be able to like maintain a certain level of physicality, certain amount of cleanse, and listen to your mind. Those things are very, very simple, very basic, but sometimes not practice because you have to have some kind of routine. And most people say like, well, I need a vacation. I say that your life, every week of your life, should be a day or two where you have a vacation from whatever it is that you're doing. Like yesterday, I took a ride upstate. I took a ride upstate to go snowboarding. Now, some people say, well, come on, don't you have enough winter? But I look at it this way, that I'm in a place where it's a completely different environment in the mountains, and there's
Yeah.
tons of snow in the mountains. And I'm floating down the mountain, and I'm listening to music, and I'm just like, laughing and sitting in the sun and just hanging out, eating a tuna fish sandwich. To be on that one, I guess it was 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. That was a vacation for me. That was enough to make
Yeah.
me feel like I'm satisfied. I can go back. I'm refreshed. It's
Yeah.
like refreshing the computer. You have to have things like that that aren't so distant, not something that.
I have one. I have one. This is what I do very often when I'm new. Pretty much anytime I start walking in New York, I'll start walking and I'll be thinking. Then I look and I think, wow, here I am. I have an apartment there. I'm there a lot. So I'll look and I think, wow, I'm here in New York. And then think of it as if I'm a tourist. And I start to think like like I would be if I was walking in Paris. I look up and I notice a lot more. My brain stops and I just get into that. I just put myself into tourist mode and it's a whole different experience. And you
That's
can do it for a half an hour on the way to the dentist or on the way to the store or something.
Muriel, that's very smart. I mean, basically, I used to play that game with my kids because when they were going to school and their families were going to Disney, I says, "You want to go to Disney? Jump in the car." And I take them to Jackson Heights. We're going to Epcot. I take them to the Statue of Liberty, or I take them to, Chinatown. The point
Yeah.
I'm trying to make is that, whatever you create in your imagination and see things with different eyes, through the eyes of my kids or the eyes of, like, the people around me, and get captivated by that. It's wonderful. It's not like, I gotta go to the city. I mean, I can understand Sharon's situation because she had to go to the city all the time to get her job. I don't have that luxury. I go maybe twice a month. I don't have what she has, but I guess it could be a drag to still be in my own town, to come to my office. Oh, I got to go to the office. You got to look at you.
Though I shouldn't complain. I have it very easy, and my office is right at the top of the High Line. So if I want to take a lunch break and walk the High Line, I can do that.
Right.
And a lot of times I say I'm going to do it, and I don't. And I'm listening to you, thinking I really need to not just say I'm going to do it, but actually plan
Do
it into my day.
it. Plan it because you deserve it. And there is a motto, all right, in martial arts. You got to live today, okay, because yesterday was over and tomorrow it may not come. So you got to live in the
Hmm.
moment. You got to
But
live in
we
the
only
moment.
have the moment. There is nothing other than the moment.
Right. And the thing is, you have to live it like it's your last day. I'm serious. You have to live it each day like it's its own last day. Not like last day, but like forget about the past because the past was great. And anything that you can have only good memories, like, oh, somebody passed away and the guy was not such a nice guy, but I remember so many great fun things with that guy. I'm not going to remember the bad things. It's the same thing with life. You had some bad experience and you had some good experiences. Just think about the good stuff, and the
Leo,
future.
this live it like it's your last day. Is this something that you've always felt, or is it because I know you had an
Yeah,
episode a few
where I was
years
stuck.
ago where it almost was your last day.
Yeah, I
Has it
get.
come from that point, or have you
No, no,
always
no.
felt that way?
It's always been that way. Yeah, it's always been that way. And it was, well, I don't know if your sister knows the story, but I had cardiac arrest, and
Oof.
and I was out for, like, in a coma for like a week, and I was in the
Wow.
hospital for like 2 weeks or something like that. And well, long story short, it was a blessing. It was a blessing because they actually repaired the reason why I had cardiac arrest. I have what they call Wolff's Parkinson's White syndrome, that they actually did an ablation on that one extra nerve fiber that gave my heart the acceleration all the time. Oh, I lived with
Oh,
it for
wow.
years. But the point is that was like a martial arts thing that, live today like it's your first and last day. And I feel that sometimes you have your own little compression of time that expands time because now you're not really like, oh man, so many days. I can't believe it's like March. What is it? March 10th, 11th? No.
The 11th, yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is that it's one of many, many days, and if you feel like life is passing you short, just live every day like it's your last day. You'll do things that you wouldn't think to do, like, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Bullshit. Tomorrow never comes sometimes. So
Yeah.
you gotta do stuff, the way it is. And if you really feel like life is like really going fast, invite an insurance salesman to try to describe the difference between whole life and term insurance. Okay. Like, when is this guy going to end? Oh my God. You know what I mean? Or have your neighbor show you pictures of their kids. It's like, please get out of here. I can't, the point is,
Well, I think you're right. I mean, the point is to make sure that we are making every moment count and feel and really be important. And I'll tell you the best. I don't know how relevant this is, but it's one thing that's made me really happy in my life is the best New Year's resolution that I made ever was if I walk over something that's on the floor that's been annoying me, like a little, piece of paper or whatever, I'm going to pick it up the first time and throw it
right.
out rather than walk over it 6 times in the day and be annoyed about it every time. Or if the lock doesn't work properly, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get the screwdriver and fix it so that I
Right.
don't have to keep like saying, "Oh, there's blood, bloody lock." It's like driving me crazy.
But it's
And
true.
it's been the best. It was the best
Right?
resolution that I made, and it's really easy to keep it. And but simple little things like that that can come to us in our lives can make a huge difference. And it's a
It
lot
does.
to do with our consciousness, just setting our consciousness on the right path, in the right place, and holding it there.
And if we were going to wrap this up, I think the goal is, I think for most people, is to live a fulfilled, healthy, peaceful life. And part of doing that is like not being upset about things that bother you. You know, do what you can so this way it doesn't bother you. Or learn to like, just learn to live with that. Like that's just how it is. It's like I learned to live with baldness a long time ago. So it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me. I mean,
It looks good on you.
it might bother somebody else, but it doesn't bother me. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's certain things that you can't change and certain things that you actually have, like I've been married now, 40 years. I've been with my wife 47 years, going to be 48 years. And there's certain things that we annoy each other because that's how most relationships are. But the things that annoyed me about her, I don't even think about it because now I just do stuff. So this way it never bothers me. Like I had a funny instance, like we have a dishwasher and my wife says, well, I'll put the stuff in the dishwasher. And I look at the dishwasher like, I have to move the stuff like where it is organized so this way it gets cleaned right. Like I'm one of those, you know what I mean? And I took a picture, like, you want to make me a happy guy? Just put the dishes this way. But but she's never gonna. So I'm like, all right, just let me just do that
It's
now. I
really
don't
funny. Well, you know what? At least she's trying putting it in. My husband, he rarely puts it in. He always puts it in the sink. And I'm like, I
right,
just put everything that was in the sink in the dishwasher.
right,
Did you have to put
right,
it in the sink? But I don't even say it. I just put it
right.
in the dishwasher
So
because,
things that annoy you, just do it and don't
yeah,
even laugh. But it goes back to exercise and discipline. So the house is an extension of your body. So like, you want to exercise, pull out the vacuum cleaner, freaking start washing the windows, start sweeping up front, clean up the backyard. It's just, that's how it is. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
don't look at that as work. I look at it as a workout. So
yeah.
everything I do is a workout.
Yeah, yeah, I do that too. I like try to go up the stairs, two stairs at a steps at a time to just make it a little extra, extra work, you know.
Just
Oh,
don't
if I
hurt
tried to
yourself.
do that, that would be a face plant for me
Yeah.
if I tried to go.
Yeah. Just don't hurt yourself. Basically like, slow and easy wins the race.
Yeah.
Like this last month that we had a lot of snow and I was
Mm,
shoveling snow like every day for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
yeah.
Was lying in bed and I was like, oh my God, I got this pain in my hip. And oh my God, who can I call to adjust me? I was like, is this what patients feel like? You know what I mean? Like I didn't know. Like I was like, well, I was like, thank you for giving me like what it really feels like to have a back pain like that. So the
Oh, that's
point
a
is,
good question. So, who do you go to when you need to
oh,
get
I have
adjusted?
chiropractors that come here to get adjusted. So they adjust me,
Oh,
so,
Oh,
good.
and
That's
I
nice.
go to a chiropractor in Lynbrook, my buddy Dave Heck, and I have another chiropractor. I go to my friend Michael Halloran, who's in Massapequa. But reality is, I try to get adjusted at least once a week, and I always have chiropractors coming to get adjusted here, so it works out for me.
well,
You know,
see, your daughter can't adjust you. She's too far away.
yeah, she's in Saratoga, so that's the way it is. But
Yeah.
this was great. I really enjoyed the
Yeah.
Well, thank
conversation.
you. Thank you so much for
I
joining
hope
us
Yes.
here.
I hope I didn't blab too much, but
No,
No, not at
no, that's
all.
what you're here. That's exactly why you're here to share. And you did a wonderful job of sharing. And everybody, this has been Dr. Leo. We call him Dr. Leo in town because none of us know how to pronounce his name.
last name.
And he can be found at Long Beach Chiropractic, right in the middle of town.
Thank you, Sharon. You don't have to put that plug in, but thank you.
I put it in anyway because if anybody finds themselves in Long Beach and they need a chiropractor, you're the guy.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
you guys have a
So,
wonderful night,
You
and
too.
thank you.
I'll have to get onto your site so I can see some of your shows.
We'll send you a link to
Okay,
it. Yeah.
that's great. I appreciate
Thank
it.
Take
you.
care.
All right. Have a
Bye.
great night. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. So we are Abracadabra Sisters, and I'm Muriel
And
and
I'm Sharon.
Sharon. And thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and hype. There's all these things people can do. Um, and and forgive us for our technical glitches, whatever they might be, because we're just figuring this all out. So thank you. I'm gonna stop the recording now. Whoops, there it is. Stop recording.